I came across this striped button-up covered in patches, and I thought it would make the perfect base for a patchwork shirt. I had a couple other button-ups, some of which were scraps from previous projects, as well as this yellow and blue striped fabric. The selvage dates the fabric to 2008 and says it is by the brand Blank Quilting. I'm very excited to use this fabric. I've had it in my stash for quite some time. Originally, I wanted to make a shirt with a cut together sleeve, similar to this cropped patchwork denim jacket that I had recently made. But that didn't quite work out. This was the plan for my cut together top. We're just gonna fast forward a little bit. I wasn't really loving the shape of the cut together sleeve on this button up. So I decided that it's in my best interest to draft an inset sleeve. I still do want the top to be oversized. So I've drafted an oversized shirt pattern with the guidance of this tutorial. So the next steps would be to detach the cut together sleeve from the body. Then I'm going to patch the fabric until it's big enough for the pattern piece. Pattern pieces. So this is what the sleeve pattern currently looks like. So I'm going to cut off the top section and add it to this side so that it's long enough. I need to add a little bit here. I'm gonna sew that up now. The bodice pieces, I'm going to start by removing the collar. Could cut it, but I suspect that I'm going to need all the fabric I can get, including however much seam allowance there is inside here. On the front, the placket is already finished. So when I place this front pattern, I need to take that into consideration. So this section here of the pattern is the placket. So I'm going to fold that in. Beautiful. And then I'm going to place the pattern after the placket. So you can see we need to add a little bit more here on the side, and then up there we need to add more for seam allowance. So yeah, just gonna cut a strip. Let's take a detour and look at the plackets, specifically how the plackets were extended. I deconstructed the plackets for this button up in order to see how they were formed to help me understand how I can extend the button plackets. There were two different construction methods for the plackets on this shirt. One side had a pretty standard placket construction where there's an extension that folds in on itself and then is sewn down. Extending this placket is pretty simple. The first thing you need to do is seam rip it open and then unfold the placket so that you can see the raw edge that was originally tucked in. Then you need to get a piece of fabric that's long enough to go from that raw edge that was tucked into the placket originally all the way until the raw edge along this side seam. Once you've got that sewn in, you iron it flat and then refold the placket edge as it originally was. For my top, it was a 1/2 inch fold and then a 1 inch fold. Then you sew it back together. The other placket was constructed in pieces, 2 separate pieces to be specific. I sewed additional fabric to both of these pieces, ironed them, and then sewed them back as they originally were. Now, on with the video. Onto the back. I'm gonna fold in the pleat. And then tape the yoke back on here. The construction of this top was pretty simple, pretty straightforward. All my seams were constructed by placing the fabric right side together, and then I overlocked all my edges. Same with all the patchwork pieces. I never mentioned that, but all the patchwork is overlocked. The major thing of note was that for this project, I finally sewed my first proper sleeve placket. It was a lot easier and a lot harder than I thought it would be, but I got it done, and it's absolutely gorgeous. I also put in a triple collar. I reused the original collar from the shirt, and then I made 2 additional collars, each slightly bigger than the other, and I sewed them all together onto the collar stand. The sleeve placket and that triple collar are the highlights of this piece, and I'm very happy. Surprisingly, what gave me the most trouble was the hem, particularly the curved section. I undid and redid the hem about 5 times. I was literally driving myself insane until I decided to just let it be good enough to iron it and call it done. What will I improve on if I do everything perfectly? Bye! Have a great time!